Welcome to Pario magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by a globally acclaimed mentalist who blurs the lines between reality and imagination. Welcome to Pario magazine, Scott Silven.
It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, we're here today to chat about your journey through the world of illusion and the upcoming show, The Lost Things, coming to the Sydney Opera House. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to give our audience a little intro as to who Scott is away from the stage?
Yeah, so I'm a theater maker, a performance artist, a mentalist, and I really started in this journey when I was 5 years old. I grew up in a part of Scotland where myth and mystery is a really big part of its identity. So I sort of had this North Star as a kid that I wanted to explore mystery and wonder as part of my life. And really, that's the journey I've been on since that point in time.
Okay. When and sort of how did you discover that passion for performance specifically?
Um, Two things. One, my granddad taught me a little magic trick when I was 5 years old, where he made me sign my name on a coin, and he put my hand in his and vanished the coin, and then pointed to the mantelpiece, and there was a little matchbox, and I ran over to the mantelpiece and opened the matchbox, and the coin was inside. And I was absolutely hooked that you could take these everyday things and create something extraordinary from it. He told me the secret of that. It was really, really disappointing, but I realized that there was something super interesting about this idea. And then from there, I realized he knew about a couple of tricks I think he'd learned in his army days from many, many years before. But it sort of began me on that journey of going to the library and discovering magic and psychology. And then really the aspect of performance came a little later. I studied contemporary performance in Edinburgh as part of my degree, and realized I hadn't seen many other people in the art form of magic really doing what I wanted to do, which was making it story led and narrative led, and making the illusion sort of metaphors for life in many ways. So that's really what helped me get my start. Uh, Growing up in Edinburgh at that point in time, and then also Edinburgh has the world's biggest arts festival. It's called the Edinburgh Fringe
Mhm.
Festival. There is, I think, currently 3,500 shows that go to the festival every year. So it's this remarkably large international audience that descend in Edinburgh every year and see so much work. Different degrees of quality of work, but it's really fun sort of finding that needle in the haystack, that thing that feels special. So I was really lucky studying there. I was able to bring shows to the festival every year, hone my craft as a performer, and yeah, realizing that this is what I wanted to do with my life.
Brilliant. So yeah, it sounds like your granddad was the first inspiration that
Yeah.
kicked off this journey. Who were some of the other big inspirations? Have you drawn from people from just encountering them at the fringe?
Not so much for folks at the fringe. For me, like my influences did not come from other magicians or performers per se. It was really from film. I really loved David Lynch, and the work that he did, and just the way he chose to hold mystery and trust the audience, that you don't have to tell them everything, that you can leave some
Mhm.
a trail of breadcrumbs. So I love that idea in his work, and I was really connected with Donald Judd's work as well, growing up as well, just as a visual artist, and the way that he held space. So my interest really came from photography and filmmaking and that sort of world, more so than seeing other performers at the fringe. And I have to say, Jamie, I think that was the thing that really helped me, that I wasn't then trying to copy other magicians that I saw in the work.
And yeah, it sounds like you're kind of focusing on the visuals too, which is important on stage and magic and
So,
stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, indeed. And I think we all have this idea of when we hear a magic show, what that will look like. We imagine the red velvet curtain and the Victoriana and all that sort of aesthetic, which I admire that aesthetic, and there's a huge history to that. But really, I wanted to break the mold with my shows. And certainly with the Lost Things that we're bringing to the Sydney Opera House, I think when the audience step into the theatre, it will hopefully feel unlike any sort of magical experience you've been a part of before.
And you mentioned David Lynch. Do you have a favorite Lynch film?
Oh my goodness, I've been rewatching them all after he just died a few weeks ago. It was Mulholland Drive for many years. Now I think it's probably Blue Velvet is up there. But honestly, it changes every month. I sort of connect to so many of them.
Yep. And over the years, have you sort of developed a signature or a favorite illusion?
I think so. The style of illusion I do, it's called mentalism. For people that don't know what that is, I sort of describe it as theater of the mind. So when people think of traditional magic, it's card tricks or coin tricks or sleight of hand. And my work really isn't any of that. It's using sort of people's thoughts and memories and experiences and crafting illusions and magical moments from those things. So it's deeply personal to the audience, deeply personal to the people taking part. And with this new show, we've created some beautiful things that really explore lost connections or new connections. So I've got some stuff in there that I've really never seen before. Things involving a parent and a child, and family members and friends you've maybe lost contact with from many years ago that may reach out during the show. Any sort of things like that that feel like true, real magic, like real wonder. That's sort of what I'm striving towards.
And it sounds like you're kind of going back to that initial interest of like the psychology of theater and performance, not so much just putting on a great, outstanding visual show.
I hope so. I hope so. The psychological aspect sort of forms a big part of my skill set in terms of what I'm doing. But for the audience as well, because it is such a personal experience to them, they're not just watching someone standing on stage doing these amazing tricks. They are inherently part of the experience. They go on the journey with me. Um, it's important that that sort of psychological stuff is treated carefully and with protecting the audience in many ways as well. So, but I find it to be the most powerful form of magic when it's things involving their own lives, their own memories. Yes, you'll see a lot of that in the new show.
And yeah, you've mentioned that The Lost Things is sort of an exploration of wonder and memory. Is there one particular memory from your life that sort of encapsulates what you hope the audience will feel in this show?
Very much so. So, really, the genesis of the show came from um, something that I thought I had lost as a kid, an object that I thought I had lost, that I'd kept in my memory all these years, and very often thought about this object that I'd lost. It was a very defining moment in my life. And in beginning to create the show, I realized that I actually did not lose this object. Something else completely different happened, and I'd created a false memory in my head of what this experience was. And that began my journey of the show, The Lost Things, because we've all lost things, whether it's objects or people or experiences. But the show really taps into that idea. Two ideas, really. One, how the things that we lose can define us in many ways. And number two, the power of getting lost in your own life. We often look at the idea of getting lost as something that is negative, something to avoid. But the journey of the show and the childhood story that I share in the show is really about this idea of getting lost as a way to wonder, to find awe, to explore paths that you haven't explored in your life, and realizing that your journey in your life isn't predetermined, that you can go off the path at any moment in time and choose to explore. So it all really came from that genesis of this childhood story that I don't want to give too much away about the story because it forms a big part of
Mhm.
the show. But hopefully it gives you enough sense of the journey I'll take the audience on.
And sort of what can people expect from this run of shows? Is it sort of that blending of illusion, magic, mentalism with the big theater background that you have as well?
Is very well described. It pretty much is that. It's a little more interactive and immersive than you might normally get from theatre. So the minute the audience step into the theatre lobby, they're already part of the story. We have what we're calling a memory installation set up, where you listen to a binaural sound experience and you focus on an image, and you're asked to focus on an object that you've lost in your life and to think of that object before you come into the theatre. So we want as many audience members to take part in this experience beforehand that just sort of opens them up to memories that they may have lost or memories they may have forgotten. And then as soon as they step into the theatre in the Playhouse, in the Sydney Opera House, the stage is transformed. It's not a proscenium stage, it's a forest of memory. And the audience throughout the performance are invited to step into the woods, step into the forest with me, and take part in hopefully what are unbelievable, impossible, but hopefully inspiring illusions as well, as my past and their past emerges together. That's what excites me about the show is the fact that it's not just someone standing on front doing sort of magic tricks that you may have seen before. This really is a collective experience, a collective journey that the audience go on together. So I'm really excited to bring it to Opera House. I have to say, in developing it, I've not seen anything like this before, um, both in terms of theatre, but mainly in terms of the realm of magic shows. It should feel much more personal and inspiring. And hopefully unforgettable.
Obviously, you want people to get there early. The Opera House is the perfect venue for that. Lots of venues around to have a meal before and then come into the show and participate in that.
That's the really good thing about it. And the fun thing is, because we're doing the show in the Playhouse, I think we have an exclusive lobby for the Playhouse as well that the audience can come
Yep.
into and take part in some of the pre-show activities before the show begins. So we also give each audience member a little souvenir at the end of the performance as well that forms a big part of the story that they can take away with them.
Obviously, the Sydney Opera House is an iconic venue, not just in Australia, but globally.
Mm.
What does it mean for you to come to Australia and play in that venue for over 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's a remarkable thing. I first played the Opera House in 2022 with my previous show Wonders, and that actually wasn't a world premiere of that show. I'd been touring that show for about 2 years by that point, and then the Opera House very kindly invited me to come out, and I've been developing the new show The Lost Things since then. And really, I wanted an iconic venue to launch the show in, to have the world premiere of the show. And we had interest from a lot of very acclaimed venues from across the world. But I realized that the Opera House is such a cultural institution. As you say, it's got such global impact. But selfishly, it was such a wonderful experience for me last time I was there. I just had an amazing time in Sydney, incredible audiences. And I thought, yeah, this is where I want to launch the show. We're sitting down there for close to a month. So I wanted it to feel like a space that I was returning to, that felt like home in many ways. And I just love Australian audiences. I think we'll get a real sense of what that show is before it begins its world tour. So I can't imagine anywhere better, I have to say.
Brilliant. And as the run of shows is fast approaching in June, how are you feeling now that it's
Terrified.
that
Really
world premiere?
terrified. I have to be honest. So I was in Hong Kong last week, closing out my previous show, Wonders, and then I took my full creative team to Banff in Alberta in Canada. They have this beautiful art center in the Rockies, and we teched the show and developed the show, and then we did one preview of the show there as well, just to get a sense of what we have. So it was hugely exciting to get it in front of an audience and see what works and what doesn't work and what we have to fix before Sydney. But as we speak, Jamie, it's now on a ship. The whole set is being sent to Sydney right now. It'll be there in 40 days, and yeah, Next Steps is opening it there. So I'm excited by what we've created, and we have a couple of days of previews before we officially launch the show, and really cannot wait for Australian audiences to see it.
Wonderful. Alrighty, so ahead of that, finally, where is the best place to support you and track the creative journey moving forward?
Oh, thank you. Probably my Instagram, Scott Silven. That's just my name. And also my website has my upcoming tour dates. But for tickets for the show, best to go to the Sydney Opera House as well. They'll have all the details on there and upcoming interviews as well.
Alrighty, thank you so much for taking the time and good luck with the show and good luck with everything in the future.
So great talking with you. Thank you.